Today we're changing a front wheel bearing on a Mini R50, 52 or 53, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So join me after the intro and let's get into it. Before we remove the wheel bearing from the front of the car, let me discuss a couple of issues that may indicate that your wheel bearing is on the way out. The first one is a trifecta of orange lights that will come on. That will be your ABS, your flat tyre light and your ASC or DSC light all come on at the same time. The other one will be a loud rumbling sound from inside the cabin of the car. Now if you do get that fault with those three lights coming up, you can plug a code reader in and it may identify which one is causing the issue. But if you get a quite uncommon fault where the lights come on when you get to a certain speed and they drop off, it may not identify itself quite as well. So I'm going to put some live data from a code scanner, the S6 Elite from King Bolan, on the screen. It will show you the blue line dipping down, and that is the wheel bearing causing issues. When you get that type of fault, it's very difficult to identify, but if you do have a live data facility on your code reader, that is one good way of being able to tell. Let me show you these wheel bearings first of all before we get into the how-to guide, so you can see just how bad they do get when things start to go wrong. So these are two wheel bearings that I've removed recently. Two separate issues, but both dodgy wheel bearings. So first of all, this one, no fault code showing, no trifecta of lights. Bit of rotational noise within the cabin, but if you look very closely, you can see there is a lot of movement in the front of that, and it is quite noisy. Now this one doesn't actually look that old. It is also worth mentioning while we're on the subject that whilst this does not look old, if you do buy one from Motor Factors, bear in mind late R52s use a different pitch on their bolts. So if you're going in, buying one, take a wheel bolt with you and screw it in before you leave to make sure it's the right one, because if it isn't, you're going to take it all apart, go to put it in, your wheel bolts won't go back in the car. Definitely worth taking a bolt with you, saving yourself a lot of time. This one, slightly different, presents itself as a slight drop down in speed on the wheel speed sensor, shows on the live data as a slight dropout compared to the other three. I'll put that on the screen again just so you can see it. When I took it off the car, no movement like this one, so didn't have any play in it, but you can see it started to fall apart. So just bear in mind that this is the only thing that's going to hold your wheel onto the front of the car. So if this does fall apart like this when you're driving, your wheel's going off down the road and you're going nowhere. The reason why it's flagged up with a speed sensor issue is this is the magnetic ring on the back. So I'm guessing where that isn't rotating necessarily at the same speed as the bearing on the inside compared to the other three on the car, it's sort of sticking slightly and dropping down in speed and then increasing again when it picks back up. Not so common, but obviously you can see that definitely is the problem. So with that said, let's get out to the car. Let me show you how to change these wheel bearings, because it's not difficult, but I just thought it'd be worth showing you the sort of issues you can get when things do start to go wrong. This is the car in question. We've got a lot of gear out here already because we were fixing another car earlier. So before I put it all away, I'm going to show you how to change the wheel bearing on this front left hand side. Front wheel bearings are the same left and right, so if you buy one it will fit both sides. Same with the rears, they're not sided at all. It's all in one unit, so it's only held on by 4 bolts, but I'm going to show you how to get to it. So the first thing you need to do is, using our 17mm socket, is just crack off the wheel nuts. We're not going to loosen them, we're just going to quickly make sure that they're not tight, like so. That's fine. And then we're going to jack the car up using the jacking point underneath the car, and then we are going to remove the wheel. Now we don't need the car to be particularly high, we just need to be able to get the wheel off. Because I want to be able to move the steering from left to right, I'm just going to pop an axle stand underneath the car. And do the same on the other side. So let me go and do that, and I'll join you back in a minute. If you only have one key for the car, make sure to pop the window down. Because sometimes when you jack these cars up, they have a habit of locking themselves. Ask me how I know that. Right, so to get to the wheel bearing, we need to remove the caliper, the brake disc, and we need to get this drive shaft nut out of the way. Now, with the caliper, we're just going to hang that with an S-hook up on this suspension strut. But to do that, it's easier to have both sides of the car up in the air. So put an axle stand underneath. You can see some legs down there for this side, because it allows you to move the steering rack left and right to get to the bolts on the back here. So you can see there's two bolts for the caliper, one here, one down the bottom. These are 16mm bolts, and it's easier to remove this spring clip, give you a little bit of space to be able to get that on and off. Now, if you do it this way, you'll actually remove the carrier and the caliper all as one piece, but these spring clips hold everything a bit tighter. So with that out of the way, it gives you a bit more flexibility on removing that, just hanging it. So let's quickly do that and then I'll show you what I mean. So you can actually see we've got one bolt here, and then the other bolt is at the top up here, which I showed you a minute ago. So let's get those out of the way first of all, and then we should be able to hang our caliper up out of the way. We need to be careful because this is the passenger side, so we've also got the brake pad wear sensor on here as well. Right, so you can see with those two bolts out, we've got a lot more movement up and down. So let's pop out this spring clip. That's fairly simple, just need to do that with a flathead screwdriver, like so. Put that on that cover there for now. And then if we put our screwdriver in the top there, we can use that to go backwards and forwards with, like so. Now, not too worried about that. We can hang this. So put our S-hook through here. Just hang it up on the strut. Keep our pad down there for in a minute. There we go. So the factory retaining screw for the brake disc is a T50. So let's remove the disc completely and it'll give us a bit more visibility on our bearing. Okay, this is our brake disc out of the way, and then this is our wheel bearing behind. So you can see it's not too difficult to get to. We do need to remove this, so I'm going to put a little screwdriver just through here to prise this up. This sort of acts as a bit of a, almost like a locking section, and then it's a 32mm nut around the outside of it. So let me quickly grab a screwdriver and let's get that undone. So all we need to do to get this out is pop it in here. We just prise it up gently, like so. We just need to get enough of it poking up so we can put in our 32mm socket, which will sit on there like this. We're using an impact socket for this one. You can use a 32mm if you want to. Sometimes you might find it easier to crack this off by holding the brake disc in the caliper with a screwdriver, but for this will do the job. As you can see, And what we want to make sure is that our drive shaft moves backwards and forwards. If it doesn't, you can pop the nut back on the end, like so, till it's flush, and then hit it gently with a hammer to free it up a bit, because sometimes they do rust into place. So there are 4 bolts to hold the wheel bearing in place. Now if you look just behind here, you can actually see where they poke through, but on the other side they're a little bit harder to identify. So you can see one here, one up there, there's one just in the bottom corner there, and obviously there'll be one on the other side. But the reason why we basically want to make sure the drive shaft moves is because we can give ourselves a little bit more room if we have to. Now this will involve a few different types of extensions and stuff like that. So I mean, I'm quite lucky because I have this set, and obviously I've got a flexible head on a 3/8, and I've got a normal 3/8 ratchet, and I've got a selection of different extensions to make this a little bit easier. You just need to find what works for you basically when it comes to this, but you can see these are quite rusty as well, so they are going to be a little bit stiff. So we're going to spray these up with a little bit of WD-40 or some sort of maintenance spray before we start to loosen them off, because we do want to try and make this as simple as possible without making things harder than they have to be. So these normally are 13mm bolts. These ones are 14s for some reason. So let's see how we get on. I'll start with the harder one first because I want to get that out of the way. It's the one I'm not looking forward to the most. Alright, so we're on the bolt. I wonder if I can get away with a smaller extension on that. That looks good. Right. There we go, that's moving. Just be careful to not tear the drive shaft boot. You shouldn't really be able to, but if your boot's a bit worn out, you don't want to necessarily rub against it too much, because you will end up with a bigger issue than what you started off with. So for this I'm using a very shallow extension. I've got a shallow socket as well. There we go. To be fair, I've managed to get most of them out with this setup, so that's it. This one has been in here a while. It's quite crusty on the front. Now with the bolts removed, normally you can tap the wheel bearing very gently with a club hammer and it will start to separate away from the wheel hub itself. But in this case, the bearing is a particularly poor state, and you can see that the entire bearing has started to come apart, leaving the back section stuck into the wheel hub. Now don't panic if this happens to you. A few taps with a hammer can normally loosen it up. In this case, we had to take a bit more extreme measures. So you will see I had to grab a chisel, hit the edge of the wheel bearing to get it to start to spin, which is what you can see me doing on screen now. And as soon as it starts to move around, it starts to separate away a bit, in which case we can then grab a small screwdriver, stick it behind and prise what's remaining away from the wheel hub. It's a particularly tricky job this when it goes to this particular stage, so hopefully for most of you it will be fairly straightforward. But this goes back to what I was saying earlier about the cheaper bearings not necessarily being the best value for money in the long run. Right, so you can see because this bearing has fallen apart, what I've done is where I've been hitting it up here with a chisel, it started to move around, so now we can get a screwdriver underneath here, look, like so. There we go. you can see the whole thing has fallen apart, so that's why we're replacing it. Now, you would normally fit a new one when you're doing this, but I've only want to trial this because I'm not sure whether this part, which is the inductor ring, has like a magnet all the way around it, and then your wheel speed sensor in here is what picks up as this spins. I wasn't sure whether this was the issue or not, because this fault on this one is very strange. It only happens at high speed. Now obviously I'm pretty glad we've actually done this today, because if we were driving at high speed and this actually happened and it fell apart, we would be absolutely screwed. The wheel would come off and chances are we'd be in a very serious accident. So let's grab our second-hand spare one just to try it out, and then if it's any good we'll swap it over at a later date and see how we get on. So this is our temporary one that we're putting in. Now, refitting is basically a reversal of removal. So all I'll do is I will time lapse this part of it, and I'll cut back in at the end with the torque settings for these bolts. So at this moment in time we are just reinstalling the 4 bolts that hold the wheel bearing into place. Now the easiest way that I found to do this was with a small 1/4 inch extension, a 14 or 13mm socket depending on the size of the bolts that you get with your bearing, and if you have one, a flexible head ratchet to allow you to be able to get into tighter angles. This job itself, once it gets to this stage, relatively quick to go back together. I will go over the torque settings in a bit of video, but don't panic, I have also put the full settings towards the end of the video, and a list of tools that I used today will be available in the description down below should you need them. So the 4 wheel bearing securing bolts, so these 4 here, they need to be torqued to 56 Newton meters. Now, not everyone's going to have a torque wrench, I appreciate that. I think if they're tight, they're good, but some people struggle with these spring clips, but generally if you put the bottom in first, like so, get the top in the hole, and then you can actually bend it around with your thumb. They're not particularly tight. Here we go. Pop a screwdriver in between the caliper and the brake disc that holds it in place. Like so. And then we need to knock that tab down. So for this I use a chisel, but you can use whatever you like. So line it up there. One big knock. There we go. You should use a new nut each time, but like I say, this is just a test, so we will sort that out when the time comes. And the only other thing left to do is put the wheel back on the car, which I will do off camera. But here is a list of all the torque settings that you will need to put your car back together after changing the wheel bearing. Hopefully you found it useful. If you have, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, leave a thumbs up down below and leave a comment. Let me know how you get on with it. And if you do enjoy this type of content, then don't forget to go and check out the main channel for the mini projects. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.